Alrighty, here we go for another episode of Yelling at Park Cars Warm Up. I am your host, uh, Showback TJC, and just as I thought I was going to have to do this all by myself, here is Mr. Free Speech Gaming. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. How you doing?
Oh, just trying to make it.
I dig it.
Um, but yeah, I was thinking that this might be like a really short stream because it's hard to have a discussion, by myself. But um, anyway, uh, so yeah, I decided that we might be able to have a little discussion on Miss Nina Jankowicz and the what's the official title? The
Oh, the
disinformation.
Disinformation Misinformation Council, something like that, which I
Yeah.
mean sounds just as bad as Ministry of Truth.
I think it's Disinformation Governance Board
That sounds even worse.
because I'm pretty sure I heard DGB, whatever, Disinformation Governance Board.
Yeah, Disinformation
Um,
Governance Board. That's what I'm seeing.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, and it's like, hold on, do we, the mere thought of um, the government saying, no, no, you can't say this, or no, you can't say that,
hmm Well, what
I
they're
mean,
talking about doing, at least from what I've heard, is it's not going to be direct oversight of what people can or cannot say, but they're going to be trying to put forth certain policies in social media areas, which is it's still just as bad. It's still the government telling people in a way what they can and cannot say because they're going to private companies and they're not going to force them because if they ever try to force them, hit them with any sort of fine, that is automatically going to bring up a First Amendment violation lawsuit. But that doesn't mean they can't go and make suggestions, which I still don't like. I still think it's wrong in
yeah.
just on principle and how easily something like that could be perverted.
Well, the thing is, in which I mean, we're doing this on YouTube, but um, you know, YouTube themselves have uh yanked people's streams down and whatnot.
Hmm
Um, long
I had
before
video.
long before this this new government entity came about. You know,
Oh, especially when the pandemic was in full swing. I had a video
yeah,
taken down. I was reacting to a video by Unheard. It's when they were interviewing the girl who went viral in Australia in one of the concentrate COVID camps they had there. Um, that yeah, they he had interviewed the girl, and I'm not going to say what I said. That I'm pretty sure the reason why they took it down, but I was quoting and contextualizing what was said in the interview, which was allowed to be up. But they said it was medical misinformation and completely yeeted my video.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
still have a warning for
Which
that.
I mean, which I'm sure that the that particular subject will be uh, under Miss Jankowicz's jurisdiction. Because I don't know about you, but because I mean, there's people out there saying, well, the coof is over, COVID's over, whatever, but I don't think so. I think it's something that's always going to be, in their back pockets, for them to throw out, from time to time, because, I don't know about you, but where I live, I still see people, uh, wearing masks and, you know, being paranoid, and, and there's no more, there's no more mandate, there's no more mask mandate, where I live, but, people are, you know, we were in that mode for so long that there's still people that are, they're still in that mode, and they're like, I don't see them coming out of it, um, and
I see it a little bit around here. If I ever go into like anything that's a corporation or, a big company, like I went into Arby's today, and technically the people who work there have to wear their masks whenever they're on the clock, but like most of them, 90% of them had it like around their chin, like you could tell they really didn't want to wear it, they just had to, unless they're working in the back, in which case, if you're preparing food, there's nothing wrong with wearing a mask. But yeah, for the most part, no, we don't see it a whole lot around here. Most people have said fuck it.
which, and like you said though, like, you'd you'd give your own personal opinion, on things, right? And, the YouTube people or whoever, Twitter people at the time, wherever, whatever, platform you're on, and you give your, own personal opinion on things, and they're like, this is disinformation, you're gonna kill grandma,
Mhm.
and, it's, I don't know, it was like, I think we should have, seen this coming. I mean, I kind of did, with the whole, with this whole, official government entity, coming about, being, and being the authority on, whether something was disinformation or not.
Mhm.
Uh, but I just, to me, it's like, you know, I mean, it's a blatant, it's pretty much a blatant, uh, knock on the, on the First Amendment, you know, uh, whether whether or not something is true or not, um, or, quote unquote disinformation. Um, I would rather, um, I would rather somebody be able to, say something or put something out there, and me see it, and, do some research of my own, and or, uh, respond to them with, I think you're full of shit. um, to put it,
Just allow the public to make their own decision on it, to come to their own conclusions. Kind of like the news used to do, that where they would show you, both sides
mm,
of whatever issue there was, and they would let you come to your own conclusion and make your own choices. And I mean, it was leaning certain times, of course, and that's not a problem if, especially if it's like an opinion show and they want to lean one direction. I mean, we
right.
lean one direction most. Well, I mean, freedom oriented mostly. Um, but it's, yeah, there's no faith in the public in being able to make up their own mind. I mean, if we say something completely wild and random and it's not couched in some form of humor, they're going to claim that we're giving misinformation or disinformation, especially with all of the oh, what was it, the skeptics that were out there for a long time. I mean, sure, a lot of them have some wacky ideas out there. You had all the flat earthers and everything, But I think that we can trust for the general population to understand that flat earthers are wrong, fundamentally wrong.
Yeah,
This was proved thousands of years ago in Egypt.
yeah. Um, you know, being someone that being someone that has literally been around the world, um, I think I would have experienced some sort of uh,
You'd have
weird,
gone over the edge.
yeah, some sort of weird, what's the word? Physics, yeah,
Yeah.
some sort of weird physics oriented. Uh, Not catastrophe. What the hell word am I thinking of?
I mean, you would have noticed.
Effects,
Yeah.
like like it literally would have been like you see like on uh which Pirates of the Caribbean movie was it?
Oh, at
Um,
World's End, gotta go
yeah,
over
and
the edge
they
of the map.
like
Yeah.
they basically went over like a freaking waterfall or something, right?
Yeah.
That's how it would have been. Okay, that's how it would have been.
And didn't they even make a joke about that in the movie, to where it was the guy? I'm trying to remember if it was the guy with the wooden eye was saying "Oh, we're gonna go over the edge," and everyone else was pretty much like, "This guy's a fucking idiot." There's they knew back then that the world was spherical and that you can travel around it. They didn't have any illusions about it. The whole Christopher Columbus was trying to prove that the Earth wasn't round was basically propaganda that had made its way into the school systems. They straight up taught that shit back in the day. I learned that in elementary school. Oh, he was proving the world wasn't round. No, they knew that. They were well aware. It's just the technology didn't allow for ships to travel that far. They didn't know how far they had to go to reach the next continent, or if they were going to go from, just go straight from Europe to Asia. They didn't know. The technology didn't exist for ships to pass over vast reaches of ocean without being at least able to dock. I did pull up here. I have a screen I'm sharing. If you wanted to pull it up, this is actually from DHS.gov. This is the fact sheet about the uh, internal working group protects free speech and other fundamental rights when addressing disinformation that threatens the security of the United States. So this is basically, these are some of the tenets that they're going to be working off of.
Hmm.
You just start at the top and read a bit, and let me know when you want to say something about it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Go ahead and narrate that for us, because I sure can't do it because my damn screen is.
Yeah.
I'm doing this off of a phone, people. So
Yep.
I would have to go to the store, buy a magnifying glass, and put it over the screen in order to
Oh yeah.
read this. So I'll let you take care of that.
All right. And also, I don't know about you, but a bit of a behind the scenes peek for people. But whenever an article is actually pulled up in the screen, it looks like garbage on my end. I have to be reading it on my actual monitor with the actual thing pulled up, but the
Yeah.
actual stream from StreamYards looks like crap for these things. But anyway, I'll get into this. All right, this came out May 2nd, 2022, so recently. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security is charged with safeguarding the United States against threats to its security, including threats exacerbated by disinformation. Disinformation, which is false information that is deliberately spread with the intent to deceive or mislead, can take many forms. When it comes to DHS's work, the department is focused on disinformation that threatens the security of the American people, including disinformation spread by foreign states such as Russia, China, and Iran, or other adversaries such as transitional criminal organizations and human smuggling organizations. Such malicious actors often spread disinformation to exploit vulnerable individuals in the American public, including national emergencies. So here's my first problem with it. They're basically saying that they're doing this for propaganda purposes by saying, Russia, China, Iran, and other adversaries. They're saying that this is to combat propaganda. But we
Yeah.
know that's not what they're going to be doing. They're going to be going to it's just like they did with disinformation and misinformation for Facebook. They're going to say we're going to flag these things. We want you to take them down.
And it's all under the guise of quote unquote national security.
Mm-hmm. Yep, everything is always for public interest, national security. I believe in the Federalist Papers. I want to say it was George Mason who wrote this particular one. It might have been Hamilton, um, who was saying that anytime something becomes a public security or a public need or a public good, it automatically gets perverted. And he was specifically talking about education. He was like, "What happens when education becomes a public health issue?" Because uh, he had that particular issue with the Constitution, or the preamble for the Declaration of Independence. He was saying like this line is a bit of a problem that we're saying it's for you know having to go through the Schoolhouse Rock song to remember it. Provide for the common defense. uh, but yeah, anytime something is a public service or a public need, it automatically gets perverted.
And the thing is, if something really is for the public good, I don't think we really have to state that it's for the public good, do we?
We shouldn't, and it was welfare. That's the specific line that he was trying to contest was what happens when, and he specifically said education becomes considered public welfare. What happens when the state takes over education? He was worried about it becoming state indoctrination, that whichever party was currently in control would be indoctrinating other people. And so
Mm.
that was addressed back then, and we see that happening now. It didn't take particularly long. I mean, we've only had actual codified public education for what, less than 100 years,
Mm.
and it's
Yeah,
taken that long.
I don't know. Which I don't know. I would assume that um,
Well,
people, because I mean, back in the day, or like I'm going off of like say TV shows and movies and stuff where they had it was like a Wild West town,
mhm.
but they had a school, and all the kids, all the kids from the town or the surrounding areas would go to this school. So I mean, it wasn't mom and dad, uh, teaching the kids at home. They actually went to a school. And so I mean, it had to have been, you know, it had to have been funded by, the town or like the town's people. Um,
Yes, but that's not codified at a federal level. I meant
yeah,
to add federal to that. And I mean, if states want to have codified public
yeah.
education available, that would be a completely different story. That falls under states' rights. He was specifically contending federalization of education.
One of my deals though is like, um, you know, uh, whether it be elementary and high school, or whether it be colleges, like state colleges or whatever, um, uh, that they're like, well, in order to get the funding, we need, we have to have this in the curriculum or that in the curriculum, or have this particular thing, group or whatnot, going on at the college, or else we won't get the funding from the state or from the federal. um and it's like, they're like they just do this stuff in order to get the money, for the school, which, and to me it seems like a lot of the funding doesn't even go to the school. It goes to the people that run the school,
Goes to the board, and then the board gets to delegate where the funds go to. And part of the problem with that is that most people are not active in their school boards. That would actually make a huge difference if more parents went to the school board meetings and made their voices heard, which is happening more and more often. And that's one of the few things we can thank from the lockdowns, is that a lot of parents were stuck in the homes with their children and had to start paying attention because they could hear what they were being taught.
Hey, welcome, Bone. Hope you're enjoying our low rent production here. But
Yeah, what's up?
yeah, but yeah, it's I don't know, and speaking of like school curriculum and stuff, um, that's what the stuff that they're teaching, in schools these days. That's what needs that's what needs the freaking quote unquote disinformation governance board. I mean,
I mean,
like all the
that's part of the issue with it, though, is that they are falling under not a disinformation governance board, but they are falling under governance. And if anybody can fuck something up, it's the government. So if we were to remove a lot of the bureaucracy from it and had a more privatized educational system to where communities could still pitch in, and you could even have like local levels, the local area would have more control over the regulation. It's the problem is that the one of the issues with the federal system is it's supposed to be small and just overseeing and protecting specifically individual rights, because when you have two parties constantly competing over what the direction of any sort of public welfare should be, it's going to have this back and forth yo-yo effect to
right.
where the lefties get in and they push super hard, and then people on the right get in office and they basically 9 times out of 10 don't really do anything. They just say they're going to do things, so it doesn't really move the needle at all. And then the lefties get back in and they push even harder till now
Yeah,
we're seeing, all of the crazy crap they're pulling now with the educational system. And a
right.
lot of that is even done at state level, but we have federally codified, mandated that public education is essentially a right, and that if somebody doesn't have access to public education, they are missing out on that right, which means federal tax dollars go towards paying it, which means they have to follow federal rules.
Yeah. I mean, I I mean, education. I think everybody, should get an education. Um, but technically, I would say that it's more of a privilege than it is a right. Um, but just I don't know. It's yeah.
I mean,
Everybody should be able to get an education, but technically, I would say it's probably more, more of a privilege than it is a right. I don't know. What do you?
but here's the thing: just with as affluent as our nation is in general, and I mean, I'm saying this as someone who's working class myself, and even with that, I'm like lower end of working class. I have a home. I'm doing well for myself, but I'm not rolling in dough or anything. But
Mhm.
I would say with as affluent as our nation is, we could still even if we were to remove the federal codification of it, local areas are going to want to keep the schools going. So there is always that. Like it's the wherever the locale is, they're going to pay to have it continue going. If your area they said, "Oh, we're no longer getting federal funding for it," you're no longer going to be taxed for that federally. But you're going to be, local governments are going to step up and do their own thing. I have to run off camera for just a few minutes, but I will be back in just a few. Sorry.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, sorry. Yep.
All right. Well, let me figure out what to blab about here for a couple minutes while he's off. Bone, I appreciate you tuning in, good sir. I still have to say, I have to say though that I still prefer dog bone over cat bone, but either way, I'm still glad you're here. And yeah, I'll have to agree with you on this that the lefties are yo-yos, but it as they say, it is what it is. We just need to stay vigilant, and if we see shenanigans going on, we gotta call it out, and make our opinions known. That's the and that's the whole thing about this whole disinformation governance board crap, is that whether I agree with something or not, I would rather it be out there. I would rather someone be able to say whatever bullshit they want to say and have it out there, so that I know about it, than I would having someone come along and saying, no, that's not that's not correct or whatever, and make it disappear, because it may be it may be something somebody else says, but it may be something I say, and I don't want I don't want to be silenced. So whether I agree with you or not, I don't want you to be silenced either. That's how we that's how we know that's how we know who to avoid, for lack of a better term. It's what do I say? Only Florida is standing up for the school system. Governor banned all woke textbooks. Yeah, okay. Like
Hey,
what
I am
kind
back.
of
Sorry about that.
textbooks? I mean, what give me some examples, or if you can. But and that's which the banning quote unquote woke books. I don't even know if I would want. I don't know if I would even want them quote unquote banned, but I would be like, this is this is a bullshit book. Read it if you want to, but it's bullshit. Yeah, my sorry, my layman vocabulary, but the if it's something, yeah, if it's something dealing with like the whole CRT stuff, yeah, uh, I definitely, wouldn't want, I definitely wouldn't want that shit, taught or whatever. Um, unless, unless there was a, uh, unless there was a class or a curriculum set up that uh, that where this stuff could be uh, debated or uh, what am I trying to say here?
I mean, that's something
If
like
it
where
can be,
discussions. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, well, I was gonna say if there was if they set it up to where like you know this quote unquote woke material, um, you know, could be debunked, or if there was a um, if that opportunity was there, I wouldn't mind it still being part of the curriculum. But but teaching this stuff like it's gospel, like they have been, no.
I mean, it's one of those things of like the discussion on that topic. I feel like even with CRT, just like K through 12, that's not something that kids should be really concerned with of being inundated with some ideology that is literally racist and telling them that you are either privileged or oppressed based on the color of your skin, and that if you are privileged you should be making a concerted effort to try and fix that privilege. That's like those debates should be happening in colleges, and they should be,
Yeah,
but a lot, depending on the school, there's usually not a lot of debate going on, because if you try to speak
right,
out against these, there could be reprisal from the teacher or from the other students, and a lot of kids are just, they're too afraid to speak their mind on the subject when they
right,
have when they want to contradict the narrative.
right. I mean, well, the thing is, it's even worse in college, because um, like I've mentioned on other streams and stuff before, um, I I attended the local college for about a year before the world shut down, and pretty much every class except for math class had something along the lines of the CRT crap, you know, of like, well, such and such people, have a history of oppression or being oppressed, or or you automatically, the deck is automatically stacked against you, if you're a person of color, um, or just all this shit that we've heard about, right? Um, and but yet, the there was no disinformation, governance board to to put a nix on that crap. You know, it's only it's only as we're coming into an election year that we have to worry about um, the government stepping in to let us know what is different, what is disinformation, and what's not.
And I mean, that's something, just like abilities to be able to have conversations about these things in school, or not getting a particular message, or even being able to challenge or countermand or give both sides of the issue, it's one of those things that these are the issues that should be discussed in schools, but we shouldn't be. The CRT comes at it with such an aggressive and one-sided tone, and it's very self-righteous and dogmatic to where it cannot be questioned. And to question the validity of CRT is to be racist, so you can't do that. And it's one of those things of like, we could have a nuanced discussion about how there were in the past systems in place that were intentionally racist against certain people. We had policies well beyond even the civil rights law, the 1965 Civil Rights Act. We had issues even beyond that with like redlining, and there were, and that was a thing that happened. The neighborhood that I grew up in didn't allow black families to purchase property in this area, and it was a nice area at one point in time. Uh, Black families weren't allowed to purchase property there until 1979 because of local ordinance. So there are things that happened that were bad, and we could talk about them. But the problem with this is they have to blame everyone for the sins of their fathers. That's part of the issue. Is that
Yeah.
our forefathers, and a lot of us, our forefathers had nothing to do with anything that happened with slavery. It
Right.
was a small portion of the population that actually owned slaves, and
Right. Yeah.
my family, I sincerely doubt anyone that I would have gotten any sort of inheritance from ever owned slaves. There's no way, in fact. Because my family was poor as shit during the Depression. It's not like we were rolling in dough.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no way. But nonetheless, I have to be blamed for the sins of my fathers purely based on my skin color. And let's just leave out the fact that the majority of my ethnicity, because I'm an American mutt like most people here, but the
Yeah.
majority of my ethnicity is either Irish, who were once enslaved, or Polish, who are Slavs, which is where the word slave comes from.
Mhm.
Like, so it's not like my family's had a great go in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. There's and which some of the stuff that uh, has been the laws and whatnot that have been uh, passed in southern states that recently that are trying to combat this stuff. The the lefties and whatnot try to equate it to those not so good laws that you were just mentioning, right? It's
And what are we supposed to do for reparations for that stuff anyway? Like, it's so far removed into the past that you can't pay a direct reparation to any person based on some nebulous view of systems of oppression and hierarchies that have caused major systemic issues down the lines. And as we see, any more government intervention just makes it worse. I mean, look at what the welfare state has done to the black community. It was intended to try and help them out, but
right.
the government, wanting to essentially buy votes, went around to black families and black neighborhoods, and they were knocking on doors and saying, hey, if you divorce your husband and become a single mother, we'll pay you for that. And it's completely destroyed what was once a very strong family valued culture.
Yeah. Well, it's not even them. That's something it's not. It's not exclusive to to the black community. There's there's plenty of white folks in that in that welfare system too.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I I would I would venture to say that there's probably still more white people on welfare than there is black people.
Purely by number, yes. By represented population percentage or per capita by race,
yeah,
no. I
the
believe,
it's
I
the
believe, yeah, it's kind of flipped.
yeah, what's the yeah per capita or whatever the yeah when you there as a group, yeah, I would probably say that, you know, they might have a higher percentage than us white folk do, but I don't know. It's I just a lot of this stuff too is, you know, it's more socioeconomic, right? It's more socioeconomic than it ever has been about race.
Mhm.
And which I don't even like saying race, you know, because there's only one race, okay? There's really only one race, and that's the human race, okay? We're all just different ethnicities of the same race. We're not different
I
races.
don't know what you're talking about, Turtle. War Pig here. I'm a completely different race than you. We are pigs, damn it.
What's up,
And I'll tell
Tommy?
you what. Hey, what's going on, Free Speech? How you doing? I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
You know what the problem with all these people is? They need a good smacking. You know, just like a good buddy General Pigatin did back during World War II. He started smacking those GIs that were complaining about they were emotionally handicapped from the war. It's time people started getting smacked left and right. I'm ready to bring out the riding crop, and I am ready to lay the whipping down on these bastards. Is that where we're going with this?
Oh yeah, man. We should have let General Pigatin turn those tanks north towards Russia. We should have let him. We took Berlin, turned those tanks north, and head straight to Russia. Would have fixed a lot of problems.
All would be assimilated. They had the wrong people in his ear. That's what happened. If Cringer was there, it would have been a whole different scenario.
You know, speaking of Russia and all that, you know, there was that line that, you know, that you mentioned or read off, you know, talking about you know, disinformation from Russia and other countries, right?
Mhm.
And I was actually kind of surprised that they went ahead and listed China.
China.
You know, because it's you know, obviously you know, certain people in the government are you know, friendly, you know, with China, you know, and the corporations, you know, I think that's part of the reason why, you know, it's been Russia in the news more than it has been China, because of all the stuff, all the crap that is on our store shelves, that has the tag on it, made in China. You know,
They said it to appease the rhinos. That's what it is. It's part of the uniparty issue. We have one side that constantly complains about Russia, and we hear more about it because they control more of the corporate media, and the other side complains about China. But really, as Americans, we should stand against both, because they're both authoritarian states, one of them communist and the other pseudo-communist.
No, I'm sure that he's pining for the good old days of the USSR. And the funny thing is, like, all these lefty loony liberals that are sitting there like, oh yeah, communism and socialism is the way to go. They've never lived through that shit. I've literally talked to people who escaped from the USSR, and they talked about how horrible it was, how badly people were mistreated, how a lot of people were damn near starving all the time. And these people think that these system casts are great. They have no freaking clue. And if they ever wind up finding a way to push it, could you imagine how bad they'll be crying and whining?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Well-
they're going to love it. They're going to be waiting for all of their free healthcare and all of that extra time to work on my art until they're told you need to be a functioning member of society. You're either going to a factory, a farm, or we're sending you to a gulag to turn big rocks into small rocks because we don't have the machinery to make to grade rocks anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But yeah, I mean, you see these people on the news too, right? Like you know, people from China and North Korea and stuff, you know, and they'll have them on you know, they'll have them on either like Fox News or OWN, you know, OAN or Newsmax, because you know you ain't gonna see this shit on freaking MSNBC or CNN. The more you know, liberal freaking uh, mainstream news people. But you know, like I can't remember her name to save my life, but there was you know, I've seen an interview with this North Korean gal, you know,
Yeonmi Park.
yeah, and you know, talking about you know, that's why she came over here, is because, you know, of North Korea being communist and just how shitty it is, you know, when you're, you know, actually having to live that way, you know, and yeah, we got people over here thinking that, oh, you know, yeah, capitalism, you know, down with capitalism, and you know, we need to be uh you know, we need to be like, you know, communist, and you know, we need to be like this country and that country, and but at the same time, you know, they still want you know, they still want things like um you know, LGBT representation and drag queen story hour and all this other shit that would definitely not fly in the countries that employ uh, things like communism.
Well, break down the population first is basically what it is. You have to destroy the culture, break down the population, and then when the boots start stepping on ground, when you have them actually goose stepping onto American soil, it'll be a lot easier to take it over, bring us into the fold, and that's when we'll have the United States communism, well, Soviet American communism matching up to Chinese communism.
Well, I mean, then they already started implementing stuff like that in Canada already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at some of the stuff that they show from the old footage of what the freaking Russians were doing, what the Nazis were doing, and even what the Chinese were doing, like that Tiananmen Square incident. And you look at some of the shit that he's implemented over there. Like, I still can't get that one out of my head where he had the Mounties come through and literally just like trample right over a lady in a walker. And the horse is just sitting there stomping on her underneath them, like no shit's given whatsoever, and people just are not seeing through that shit. And what's going on, Bone? Yeah, I watched the GPNN, the Guinea Pig News Network. Oh, thank you. That is a hell of a compliment. I love that. And what's up, Stephen Ransom?
Should I read some more of this article here? Because we got one paragraph, please. And we've been chatting about it for like a half hour.
Right. Please go.
All right. For nearly 10 years, different agencies across DHS have worked to address disinformation that threatens our homeland security. Here are some examples. U.S. Customs and Border Protection counters disinformation that cartels and human smugglers spread to migrants to persuade them to cross our southwestern border illegally. CBP work includes Say No to the Coyote campaign, making clear that entering the U.S. states illegally is a crime. In 2012, during Hurricane Sandy, the Federal Emergency Management Agency corrected false information about the safety of drinking water and the location of shelters to protect and serve the hurricane's victims. FEMA has since built capacity to identify and respond to false information during major disaster responses, including Hurricane Maria and Ida, during which FEMA provided critical information to protect disaster survivors from targeted scams. FEMA also ensures that disinformation campaigns do not prevent Americans from accessing federal aid during the and after disasters. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which sounds frightening on its own, works with private sector stakeholders to mitigate the risk of disinformation to U.S. critical infrastructure, work that has continued in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I mean, once again, it's one of those things of, do they need to correct the issues? Like they bring up the hurricane stuff. Do they need to correct that and completely remove people putting out the false information? Or could they just take over the emergency broadcast network, which hits every cell phone if the towers are still up, hits all of the radios and all of the TV stations, and just tell people where they need to go?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like stuff they don't need to do. Let's see.
Yeah.
The department identifies disinformation that threatens the homeland through publicly available sources, research conducted by academic and other institutions, and information shared by other federal agencies and partners. DHS then shares factual information related to its mission to potentially impacted people and organizations. The department is deeply committed to doing all of its work in a way that protects Americans' freedom of speech, civil rights, civil liberties, and privacy. In fact, the Disinformation Governance Board is an internal working group that was established with the explicit goal of ensuring these protections are appropriately incorporated across DHS's information-related work, and the rigorous safeguards are in place. The working group also seeks to coordinate the department's engagements on this subject with other federal agencies in a diverse range of external stakeholders. The working group does not have any operational authority or capability, so that's kind of what I was saying before. They're not going to actually be able to make ordinance on these things, but
Yeah.
if they consider something a security risk, it's now no longer a national emergency that they have to do these things.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a bigger but than freaking Rasputia from Norbit. But that.
I thought you were going to say a bigger butt than Lizzo, but okay, that'll work just as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Lizzo, Rasputia, I don't know. They could probably, I'm sure they're probably related. But the up there we're talking about drug cartels and stuff, having people cross the southern border, and about that being like disinformation or whatever. No, it's not. I mean, if I'm understanding that correctly, they're basically trying to tell us that the cartels aren't sending people over, and that's a bunch of shit. They want to keep they want to keep the narrative going of it's racist if we want to keep people from crossing the southern border.
So what I think they're actually saying here with that is that I think it's more rhino appeasement, because they are actually saying that it was coyotes and smugglers who were telling lies to people, and they were trying to inform people before they crossed the U.S. southern border that it is illegal to illegally enter the states. Duh. But the problem is that, I mean, really, this is just rhino appeasement, and we know that because they can say this while acting differently. For a whole year, we've had a completely open border, just completely porous. We've had more people pouring over the southern border than ever before.
Well, the thing is, now that freaking Poopy Pants, after Poopy Pants got in office, because during the whole campaign, both him and Kamala are, oh, it's the wall is racist and this, that, and the other thing. But after they got in office, though, freaking Kamala is on the freaking TV saying, "Do not come, do not come."
Yeah, she was giving her best porno acting skills.
Yeah, but yeah, that bullshit. Anyway.
Well, we also know her normal line is "Hurry up and come" because she's already on her knees.
Yeah.
Heels up hairs.
Yeah.
That's in between her hyena laughing, you know.
God, yeah. Imagine trying to hear that bitch laugh around a blowjob.
But, I mean, dude, if that should be, you know, that would be a hell of a drinking game, right? To sit there and watch Kamala Harris interviews, and every time she cackled, you know, you'd have to take a drink.
God, every time she doesn't answer the question, you gotta take a drink.
Either that, or another good drinking game would be watching Jen Psaki, because I'm not going to say it correctly. Jen Psaki, every time she does a press conference, take a drink every time she says circle back or.
Wait a minute. I thought her name was Jen Bukaki.
I don't know. All I know is
here. You want a drinking game? Here, I'm going to give you a drinking game. All right, here's what you do, Shellback. You audio file only for this drinking game. So you just Kamala laughing as one clip, and then a hyena laughing as another clip, and you get a bunch of different clips, and that's the game. Is it Kamala or is it a hyena?
Get it wrong, you got to drink.
Well, freaking Psaki, you know that. I'm seriously.
Bukaki.
Psaki is Chucky. She is Chucky from Child's Play as a female. Okay. But
damn it,
anyway.
Tommy, you almost made me spit up my tea there. I was taking a big swig, and you threw that Bukaki in there. It hit me just right. I almost spewed tea all over my computer.
That's a whole nother stream right there.
I would imagine so.
Yeah,
it's part of how it works, Shellback.
Yeah, a stream here, a stream there, a stream over here. Yeah. Anyway, back to the article.
There has been confusion about the working group, its role, and activities. The reaction to this working group has prompted DHS to assess what steps we should take to build the trust needed for the department to be effective in this space. As a result, we will be taking the following additional steps. Under Secretary Mayorkas's leadership, the department has renewed its commitment to transparency and openness with the public and Congress. Bullshit! Sorry about that, frog in my throat. DHS will proactively release comprehensive quarterly reports about the working group's activities to Congress, including its oversight committees. Secretary Mayorkas will request that the bipartisan Homeland Security Advisory Council make recommendations for how the department can most effectively and appropriately address disinformation that poses a threat to the homeland, while protecting free speech and other fundamental rights. And that the HSAC co-chair, Jamie Gorelick, great fucking name there. Parents must have really liked you. And HSAC members Michael Chertoff lead this effort. Ms. Gorelick is a former U.S. Deputy Attorney General, and Mr. Chertoff was Secretary of Homeland Security during President George W. Bush's administration. At Secretary Mayorkas's request, DHS is exploring additional ways to enhance the public's trust in this important work. So right there, that last line, I mean, it's a contradiction in and of itself. They're saying, hey, we're going to come up with a council to determine what is or is not, dangerous misinformation that poses a public security risk. At the same time, we're going to make sure that you're even freer than before to be able to speak what you want.
Right. Yeah. It's that's a little bit contradictory. Yeah. But so go back to what they were saying about Congress.
The department has renewed its commitment to transparency and openness with the public and Congress. DHS will proactively release comprehensive quarterly reports about the working group's activities to Congress, including oversight committees. And yeah, essentially they're just saying that they'll have, super trustworthy Homeland Security councils overseeing to make sure, because, Homeland Security is never, just flipped the Constitution over and just railed it. They've never done that. Which is actually something I think Razor Fist had brought up in like a tweet or something, that he was like, all of these people now bitching about the Disinformation Council, but they weren't paying attention when they made Homeland Security another branch of the frickin' government, or another branch under the executive of the government that's intentionally designed to do this. They just waited 20 years to implement it.
Which I don't know, I've never, in a way, I've never really understood the Department of Homeland Security coming about, because I mean, it's like, we've got, how many 3-letter agencies already, that could handle that shit? Like, I don't know, let's say the FBI, the NSA, I mean, isn't that what the NSA was anyway?
Pretty much,
freaking, Homeland Security. So why do we need, if we already had the NSA, why do we need the DHS?
So the NSA, I think the reason why they did this is because it was right after the 9/11 attack. We had, damn near the entire population was completely on board for whatever we needed to do to fight terrorism. And the Uniparty took over at that time. They wanted to have not just what the NSA was, which was a reactionary agency that does these same things. They listen into phone calls and the like. They observe what we're doing, and then try to come up with crimes that people have done that they can go after, and under the guise of protecting us. Department of Homeland Security was more proactive rather than reactive. They wanted to set up councils to where they could start targeting people and hitting them with the FISA courts.
Yeah,
they created a parallel court system to where if someone's not a U.S. citizen, they can just investigate them. And then eventually we started doing that against U.S. citizens under the idea that they wouldn't be charged with any crimes.
Blue flag? Did you mean the other blue? The red blue? I don't know. I just any excuse for them to start up another 3-letter agency. I don't know.
Like there already isn't enough government wasted already. Really, they got to find more ways to waste money while they're throwing money overseas.
Right. Yeah. Like what was it? The 30 billion or whatever it was that they just sent over to Ukraine. That there's been reports of like it just kind of like went over there and disappeared. Like hey, where's the money? Which kind of going back to the whole disinformation thing. All these people that are on board with Ukraine and support Ukraine and all that stuff, and which is led by a dude that just he just made all well, not just made, he did it a little while back, but the president of Ukraine made all of the Ukraine TV under government control, and he basically put a nix on all his political opposition as well. And so yeah, let's let the government here do that same thing. Yeah, and you know, I heard it worked out really well in Germany in the 1930s and yeah, 1930s and 40s.
I mean, yeah, it did. They did a great job, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were really building their own socialist utopia.
Hey, what's up, Krish?
How's the upside down? So was that
right.
the
toilets are all flushing the wrong way there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, they drive on the wrong side of the road too. So what do you expect? Well, so was that the end of the article, or do we have more?
No, that was the end of the article. I did have a couple others pulled up. I mean, it's all left-leaning stuff. It's Politico and New York Times, because you know they bury.
Oh God, the New York Times. Yeah. I swear the New York Times is just about as trustworthy as the freaking National Enquirer.
Mm-hmm. I'll say I read a bit of the Politico article. I'll say they made a concerted effort to try and just give a somewhat open view of it. Like, I mean, the first line is a small group, big headache inside DHS's messy disinformation governance board launch. Like, they're straight up pointing out how it's been pretty much a failure so far. And I mean, they are saying that it's people on the right who are painting it negatively. They didn't give an exact opinion on that, though. They're just giving you the information, which is somewhat nice, but I've read enough Politico to know somewhere in there's going to tell you what to think.
Right.
Well, I just think it's funny that they come up with all this shit and just shit that we've heard before, like in 1984. And then they want to say, oh, it's nothing like that. You're being a conspiracy theorist. Like, really, all these things that are coming to pass are the same things that we've heard before in other either novels or books or even prophecies. It's the same shit over and over. You're going to tell me all that stuff taken together is all just coincidence? All of it?
Well, I mean, we had that stuff going on in real life too. You had the KGB in the Soviet Union. You had the Stasi and the Gestapo in Nazi Germany. North Korea does it. China does it. I mean, they'll straight up disappear people if they think for an instant that they're going against the party, if they're standing against the state.
Mm-hmm.
That and which another thing that China does, I do believe, is the whole social credit score thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's people here. There's people here that want to implement this shit. It's like I don't understand it. It's and like nobody's it's like none of those people are paying attention to history.
Oh, well, they can't anymore, Shellback. They have deemed history to be racist. It's all about those damn colonizers with those people.
Yep, everything is about trying to. Well, I think part of it is it's sort of the natural state of humanity for, I mean, millennia, for most of recorded history, to be more of a follower of especially from nations. You have a single government which controls damn near everything. And it really wasn't until, I mean, you had the French Revolution, but that was kind of a rough start. They kind of stalled out at the beginning with Robespierre. But really until America came along and became a solid, stable government, most of the time it has been nations of followers. So it's almost natural for a lot of people to do that, and it's a very easy solution to be able to be told what you need to do and how everything needs to run, as opposed to letting free markets handle the economy, as opposed to letting people determine their own personal morality while following a singular, law-abiding morality that is based more upon not harming others or removing other people's rights. That's a much messier process, and I don't think just over time we're going to flow back and forth between the authoritarian and the liberty-minded.
Well, here's my question. Like, all these corporations that are sitting here backing this kind of nonsense, why would they want to back this? Because in the end, they will wind up being the losers. I mean, do they not have enough vision to see that?
I would agree with you if it weren't for the fact that the government, because we're essentially working under a cronyist system at the moment, where the government is essentially working at the behest of the major corporations. So some of the corporations might take a hit from some of these regulations, especially if they start actually making regulations and actually trying to charge people. But the big companies are going to be able to work within the system, and they're going to be able to formulate and morph the system into what they need it to be able to maintain control, whether or not they take a hit. Because it's much better to take a small financial hit, but to remove competition from the market. Not as much profit, but those margins aren't going anywhere now.
And and that was part of the reason. That was part of the reason that that Orange Man had such a freaking shitty time in office, is because he was trying to do the populist thing, right? And these cronies, these cronies, as you put it, the establishment types, they didn't like that. So, that's why they freaking tried to impeach him 57,000 times,
Yeah, and not only that, one of the things that another thing I criticize Trump for is when he first came into office, it was looking like we were going to have a different cabinet. Like, he was pulling in people that you would never expect to have been in the government. I mean, Elon Musk was on his board it was like 2 weeks, but the establishment came in, and they immediately, a lot of these people who are not prepared for politics, you could tell it immediately, because they got hit with the smear boards from both sides of the aisle, and they were immediately, a lot of them got chucked out.
Yeah, which I don't know. I think it's unfortunate that regular people can't seem to participate in the government. Although we do have people, that are still trying to, buck the establishment, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and oh crap, what's that governor? The South Dakota, is it South Dakota governor?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I can't think of her name right now. No. Anyway,
Christy
Noem, that's it. But yeah, I'm glad they're around, and you know that they're doing something when when the other people that are there are trying to kick them off, or have kicked them off, like Miss Green. They kicked her out of whatever committee it was. But it's like that they're doing something right when when that happens, because it's like, why are you trying to kick her off, when she's saying some legit shit, but you don't want her saying, you don't want her making legitimate comments and points. So we're just gonna kick you off the board. So anyway,
Yeah, it's like if Pelosi, Schumer, McConnell, and like Mitt Romney, if all four of those people hate you, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah. And at least some of those people that you just mentioned are involved with Ukraine. So
I don't know about McConnell, but I believe the rest of them have kids that are on the boards.
Yeah. So that'll clue you into part of the reason why why they're pushing the whole pro-Ukraine thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. But like disinformation from Russia is going to be, has been and is going to be one of their big things, I think. And but like I said, though, with all the stuff that on our store shelves that are made in China, I'd really like to see them, make comments about China, about and have them say things about China, like say, oh, I don't know, Uyghur concentration camps, for instance. It's invading a Eastern European country is bad, but yet having a certain group of people in a concentration camp is fine.
Well, it's one of those things of you got to follow the money. I mean, you might not directly have money coming from the concentration camps, or at least a direct line between the concentration camps and the the government, but you've got Hollywood. How's Disney going to make movies if they can't festoon themselves with the blood of Uyghurs? I mean, we wouldn't have that amazing Mulan movie.
Yeah. Which I did see that movie, and I thought it was all right, but at the same time, was it necessary? No. I mean, the cartoon, the animated original is just fine with me. But yeah, I don't know, and which I envision people, because I made the comment about the Uyghur camps. I could just envision somebody coming back at me about, well, what about the Japanese internment camps, here in the United States back in the 40s? It's like, well, it's a little bit different, because I mean that the Empire of Japan attacked us, and we knew that there were people in the population that were spying for Japan. Was it exactly the right move to put all these Japanese people in camps? Maybe not. Could they have done it differently? Yeah, they could have just kept tabs on people. and without putting him in a camp.
Well,
But
keeping tabs on people is how we got Homeland Security. We were trying to just keep tabs on these other people. I mean, I think it's still wrong kind of either way, especially if they were American citizens, because it is removing their individual rights. And it is, once again, it's blaming them for the sins of their fathers or from their home country even.
yeah.
Now it is also one of those things of, did we have to, it was also a different time. It's not like we could easily ship them over there and it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, a lot of them probably should have been used as a bargaining chip, but at the same time, Japan didn't want them back. Like they were traitors. They left Japan. That was enough for us. They were that nationalistic that if you left the home country, that's it.
Yeah. But
Nazis would take Americans. If an American wanted to defect and go to the Reich and join up, they had no problem.
Yeah. But I mean, the people that were doing the spying though were, for all intents and purposes, were they were stand up, contributing members of society. So it's like, how would you know otherwise? But
I mean, are we going to future crime these people? Like, it was also a different time. Like, I'm not saying it was good. It's,
No, I mean, it's definitely a mixed bag, a mixed bag subject, for sure. But, anyway, the point being is, it's like the people that are in charge of this, of this new government entity, definitely have an agenda that leans a certain way, and as far as foreign countries and stuff go, they're going to be crying out Russia, Russia, Russia. And not so much China, 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 or North Korea, North Korea, or any of the other ones. But anyway, my main point that I wanted to put out there with all this is, we don't need this crap. I would rather there be quote unquote disinformation out there for me to make up my own mind about, than have somebody in government deem whether or not I should be able to see it. And with that, I'm going to say let's wrap it up, and people can go tune in to the Yelling at Parked Cars show over on Comics Division's channel. But before we go, if you either one of you gentlemen have anything to promote, please do. I don't. You guys can flip a coin to see who goes first. I don't care.
You want to go ahead, Tommy?
Oh, what happened?
Plug.
I'm not plugging anybody. That's Walton's job.
Yeah.
I thought it was just trees.
Yeah. Promote your stuff.
Apparently he's getting ready. You didn't hear? He's the new Peen Jesus.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going around town to town and he's washing peens. It's true. I've heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what's going on with the collective.
They're bad. They've been nibbling everything. The wires in the house. I almost have no electronics left. I am guarding the computer right now to keep those nibbly little bastards away from it. Nah, it's the same old, same old. We actually had an awesome discussion on G.I. Joe today on going old school. Thursday, we should be back again because I had to take the hiatus last week because my back was in such bad shape. It's not feeling good this week yet either, but we will be back on Thursday after Red Gaze, Nerium Noah with the Probe. Vinny and I will be back with Collectible Pass talking about a few of these newer franchises that are doing right, paying respect to the old toys from the past and the franchises from the past, and just making it enjoyable to actually go out and start collecting things again. So, guys, just stop on by, check out the guinea pigs. Last time I looked, we have convenience store numbers at the Guinea Pig Collective, and we were sitting at 7-Eleven. Come again. So, make sure that you're subscribed because I know YouTube likes to play the games with the guinea pigs. I do not say that I am the most hated guinea pig on YouTube for no reason at all. They can't stand me. I'm sure that freaking Mama Susan has a whole file on the Guinea Pig Collective right now and trying to figure out a way to get rid of us. But the little paws are everywhere. You can't get rid of all of us.
I'm thinking they might, if they haven't opened up a file on me already, maybe this stream will do it.
Don't worry, it's guilt by association. You've been around the collective enough times; they know who you are. The guys, remember, never let anybody tell you what you can and can't say, what you should or should not watch. Because your silence gives consent, and then you wind up in the forest with Walton trying to give you enemies and cleaning your peen.
Oh, promote away there, Free Speech.
Yeah, I am going to talk about not my regular channel here because this is kind of just becoming my streaming one, Free Speech Gaming, but I had a new channel drop just a couple of weeks ago. Second episode dropped last week. I am doing a Lord of the Rings review, scene by scene through the extended trilogy. I wanted to give some good media, some classic films, what I think to be one of the best made film trilogies of all time, as far as the efforts that went toward it and the love that was given and the care that was taken in making these movies and making them true to the originals. I want to give them some mad respect. So scene by scene, I am going through the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Thursday, the third episode will be dropping. I believe this is the Shire, is this scene. But you can check it out. I just dropped it in the chat right there. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, this is made for you. Please go check it out. It is called LOTR Step by Step.
Was it made for you?
Are there like POC dwarves and stuff?
No. This is just the Peter Jackson trilogy. No, we've got Gimli, who is the paragon of dwarves. He is the cliche that people should go to when they're thinking about making a dwarf character in tabletop gamings.
Well, I mean, if you don't have POC LGBT freaking dwarves, then you're just a bigot.
Good.
All right.
Well, when are they going to rename it to the Reading Rainbow?
Right.
It'd be so much easier.
No, don't ruin Reading Rainbow.
LeVar Burton has already done that.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, he has made a couple of stupid comments, but yeah.
Sometimes you got to separate the art from the artist, and I think Reading Rainbow gets a pass.
But anywho, I appreciate you gentlemen being here. It would have been a lot shorter of a stream had you not. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will see you later.
Bye, everybody.